Welcome to another edition of the Glittery Bones of Advertising. Nice to see you both.
Hello.
Hello. Going to be one of my favorite human beings that we take a peek at today. I've fell in love with this guy a long time ago in the beginning of his career. Was fortunate enough to meet him and say good day, and kind of he really blew up my skirt at that point as well. But his work on Kath and Kim as a purveyor of fine meats just is probably one of the best characters, other than Magda's character as well, Sharon, that I've ever come across in anything Aussie ever. But let's take a peek at my good friend Russell Coight.
G'day, I'm Russell Coight. After a day of exploring, these city slickers may have picked up an unwanted passenger. Let's go have a look. Whoa, stand back, it's an inland black. Charging cable from the back of the... Do you want to take that? That swanky EV is way off the grid. Looks like trouble is just around the corner. Water and electricity don't mix, and they know exactly where this EV is going to wind up. Anyway, we got him through. I'm surprised that EV made it back into camp, but tomorrow that battery of theirs will be as flat as a tack. They're in for a rude shock. Just hang on a sec. No, you can't afford to take risks out here. This big brown land, which is sometimes red with bits of green, is no place for hipsters in electric vehicles. Where are they? I'll need a tow anyway. Jeez! Oh, stop!
Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid EV. Australia ready.
Well, that's never happened before. Well, once. Do you mind if I have a drive? No, fair enough.
Okay, well, there's just nothing bad for me about it. Go, Mitsubishi. Go with your electric vehicle that plugs into Ayers Rock or whatever you did. I don't care. It was bloody brilliant, and Russell Coight can do no wrong in my eyes. I just loved it. And I was only conjecting on one thing. Mm-hmm. Does the target market, which seems to be the environmentally conscious, younger family, whichever sort of narrative that goes under, mm-hmm. Do they know who this legend is? Are they aware of Russell Coight and his outback adventures? That's my only thing. Are they barking up the right tree with the right guy for the right target market?
For me, like we were just talking about, yes, because I'm looking at this exact car and I know Russell Coight, and it just gives me all the it just makes me happy. I'm just like, yes. I love the humor. I love that we've got an EV and a people mover, which historically or recently with the big, blow up of EVs, it's either been future ready, futuristic, driving through the city with all these lights, or it's I'm in a people mover outback driving through puddles. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a really nice take on.
What do you mean? What's all this driving through the city with lights?
All the EV, future ready power, using electricity, don't use petrol. It's all very futuristic I feel that the ads I see are like that. And then when I see things for don't frighten a Triton and all of that kind of stuff, I know that they're utes, but it's that off-road is dirty man. Yeah. So I feel it's a really nice, I love humor in advertising. So for me, I was just it answered all of you can see the people being the concerns of people is that, the charging runs out and it can't go through water because it's electric. And they answered all of those questions in the ad as well. So I hated it. No, I didn't. Of course, I loved it. I'm all about it. Mm-hmm. I want to meet Russell. I'm jealous that you got to meet him. So for me, being the target, or because I am looking at that car and I do know him, it works for me, definitely.
Gabaloo.
I love it. I thought it was
Oh, yeah.
hysterical. But
All right.
I know we're trying to be like positive this year, but I'm gonna have a but.
But.
For me, I was a bit like he overtook the ad. I forgot, like I was so
That was a
entertained.
Mitsubishi Outlander. Yes.
But the one thing that I took from that ad is, oh my God, I love Russell Coight. He's hysterical. That was so funny. I saw him half naked. Like
Yeah.
I
Caro's favorite bit as well was the shower.
Yeah.
It was.
It would have been so funny if at
He's
the
still
end.
fit too. Look at his rig.
Yeah, well, it would have been hysterical. And I was waiting for it to happen, and it didn't happen. When he was holding the bull bar and it was going down, he was dragging. I thought his shorts were going to come off as he was being dragged on.
Even better. So good.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's that age-old debate of like when you use a personality like this, and especially such like a big character like he is, does it outshine, and is that the most memorable thing above and beyond what you're actually trying to sell or your brand? Like,
You make a really good point. Like, what a good point.
Yeah. I think for me, it worked for them because it set them apart from all of the other kind of, like I was saying, the electrics and the lights and the shit and the going across country, that now I associate him with the brand, and I love the brand more for using him. So yeah, for me, it was like, it made it more Aussie, which I really enjoyed. And
well, that's exactly what you're aiming to do. So if it did that for you, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And that's like another good point. Obviously it's Mitsubishi. So they're, I think from, where are they from?
I think the Japanese Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're probably trying, I guess that was an element of it as well. And then the whole like outback adventure, I think is quite pertinent given the rise of people doing that style of holiday in a post-COVID landscape, and with the economy the way it is, that's a more realistic holiday approach for young families at the moment. So I think that's quite timely as well. But yeah, I just remember Russell Coight. I didn't even realize it was a Mitsubishi really until someone said it in our recording, and I went, oh yeah, it was Mitsubishi.
Well, that there is the perfect segue into the hardest question in advertising: that are influencers, are they and celebrities worth the money? Are they actually worth the money that is provided to them for endorsing a brand or a product or whatever? What do you say?
I think there's a huge difference between an influencer and a celebrity personality. The idea of an influencer in my mind has come in the last few years through digital influencers. Before it was a brand ambassador or a celebrity personality. And now the word influencer has come about because they actually have followings that will purchase a product based on what comes out of their mouth about that product. So for me, that's a very different thing to saying, hey, here's our brand ambassador, and they're going to do a big billboard and stand next to our product. Like, I think they're very different things. For me, in the digital sphere, an influencer who has a very loyal following, who almost hangs off every word that comes out of their mouth, is definitely worth the spend if it's the right alignment with your brand. But when we're talking, for me, I feel like I don't know how much they would have spent on Russell Coight for this ad, but yeah, I don't know. Jury's out for me on that. Keen to hear someone else's thoughts.
Okay, Cara, what do you say?
I 100% agree that they're different and they're used for different things, influencers and celebrities. And I think influencers are more accessible when we're talking about like smaller budgets and like little kind of litmus tests that you can do. Whereas I think if you go with celebrity, it's kind of, you're committed, like it's the whole hog. It's, so I think in some cases it works really well. And then in some cases it kind of falls flat. But I think there's a common tie between influencers and celebrities that you need to believe, like you do with influencers, that celebrity truly endorses that product. Like, it needs to be a really good match. If it's not a good match, I think it falls flat. And I think in this instance of the Outback Adventure of the Mitsubishi that they're trying to sell, and the heritage of Russell Coight and his Aussie Outback Adventure show and that kind of personality, I think that works really well. And I think it gives them the cut through in a really crowded market to have a point of memorability. I'd shudder to think how much they spent, but when you're playing with the big boys, I guess you have to kind of spend the coin too. So I think it's similar to Gabs, the jury's out. It's kind of, it can work really well, or it can be a waste of money, but you kind of don't know until you do it. So I think they made a good decision though. Mitsubishi did.
I'm a big fan. I think, all of the cues that you can add to a brand are huge, whether you're talking at a micro level with an influencer that could potentially champion your product in front of other people that might not see it. I think it's got its advantages. Is there a level of when people tune out, they feel that they're really not connected to the brand, they're just doing it for money potentially, but this has been around forever. Like, right back in the day when you had, one of the, I think it was Hertz and OJ Simpson was kind of the first of that sort of brand sponsorship connection, and whether people saw it as him selling out or whatever it was, all the way through to what we're talking about today. I think if you have the budget and you can find the right personality that aligns with your brand, I think it's such a strong cue that you can have, the increase in that memorability and then that opportunity to be salient when someone's thinking about Russell Coight, thinking about a car, and they can connect it to your brand. I think it's just one of those things that aids the ability to put you on the shopping list. So I'm all for it. I love the idea of, using a Barry White song to sell, whatever, or, using a, like an influencer to sell a new, Dollar Shave or like a body bronzer or something. I think it's bloody brilliant. And if you can exploit all of that, and when I say exploit, I mean use it to your advantage to drive more towards your brand, I think it's well worth the money spent. And I reckon with the rise of Kath and Kim and Glenn Robbins' profile, I would hazard a guess that he would have been worth a pretty penny, but I reckon every dollar spent was brilliantly spent because I love him, and I think the connection was so strong. It not only positioned the brand well, but it just added this comedic element that you kind of have never really seen from a very stoic kind of Mitsubishi brand. And again, I'm saying they're from Japan. I'm not sure if they are, but it's almost like they Aussieified it a bit even more. Like such a clever thing. Like I just loved it. So good.
They also, using a celebrity really gives you like an ownable asset that no other car company can now have him. So I think there's definite value in that if it's successful as well. So
just clever choice. I think choosing is the key to celebrity. I think, as we've all sort of said, the right person. You don't want someone that's likely to then muck up, who gets caught in a bloody pub in Portsea with a rack of, white powder up their nose. You're like, whoops, what happened there? We don't really want them on our brand anymore, but you got to be careful. And I think you got to have all of those things and dot your I's and T's.
And doing it at the right time as well. I don't think it's just like, oh, we want to be successful, so let's use a celebrity and just kind of like shove it in there. Like it really needs to feel
strategic
and feel like it fits. Yeah. So I'm going to go buy a Mitsubishi now because of you.
Go do it. And we love Russell Coight. Go, Glenn Robbins, you absolute legend. Every time I still see him in Southland, like it's pretty rare these days, but I'm still like, oh, it's Glenn Robbins, like a man crush.
I've been seeing him in Maya, and I'm like,
yeah, I love it. Anyway,
Anyway,
that's another edition of the Bones of Advertising. We'll be back at some stage soon. Don't go changing.